Wieczór. I'm so happy to see you all on the chat because I can see you here. My name is Kinga Urbańska. I am a part of Your Roots in Poland. We just had this idea to create a group of Polish genealogy helpers where everybody could have a chance to get a support, get a little bit of assistance, and exchange your experiences as for Polish genealogical research. And I do hope that you are getting a lot of information from that group, yeah? And this webinar is also for you to organize your information, yeah? Because I know many of you are doing your genealogies for some time already, but following the newest portals, the newest information, the news in genealogical world, sometimes it's better to take a step back and see if there was anything that you could have missed at the very beginning of your genealogical journey, and in this case, especially the one which is connected with your Polish ancestry. So I may give like 2 more minutes maybe for those who are still joining. Hope that you can hear me well and you can see me well, and you can see also the presentation. If you could just let me know on the chat, please. Yeah, somebody's writing. I am also very happy that you found a little bit of time before the Christmas preparation or any kind of holiday preparation, because I know we're getting busy, but sometimes it's better to simply sit, relax, listen a little bit of new information that may enrich your experience as for of chasing your Polish ancestry. Okay, so I think we can definitely start from here. And many times, Stan, hello Stan, hello everybody. So what I wanted to really outline, and what was a very interesting case for me from the very beginning when I began working and living basically as a genealogist, Polish genealogist, was the fact that there are so many people around the world that in their immigration documentation it is outlined that they're Hungarian, that maybe they are Russian or Prussian, and at some point of the research it turns out that actually they're Polish. And this is something that I really wanted to pay your attention to today or tonight from the Polish time point of view. So here's the presentation. I believe that we can start. Starting with Polish genealogy is very important to get to know the basics, yeah? So get to know the history, because as you probably already know, it's quite complicated and very, very complex from the nationalities point of view, from the cultural point of view, from the religious point of view, yeah? So knowing these basics and knowing what happened, especially these political events that really was affecting all the families, just a simple family's life, is really makes a difference then in your genealogical research experience. That's why I want to take you for a little time travel and take you basically to the Poland in its shape into in 1772. Why this date is really important? This date is really important because this is when the first partition of Poland took place. Yeah, so your ancestors, your Polish ancestors, history was strongly affected by the global, but especially European political situation. And you can see on the map here this yellow area. So Poland at the time when the first partition took place. Yeah, so basically you can see how the big how big this country was, and how multi-cultural and religious areas it included. Yeah, so this is how it looked back then. But from the first partition, so this is a really this is probably the picture, the painting that is really well known to all pupils in Polish schools, because it shows up in every basic history book for pupils in the primary schools. So in 1772, three empires, so Austria, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Prussia, and Russia divided Polish country into three parts. Of course, it doesn't happen. It didn't happen entirely on that 1772, because there were two another partitions. But this is when this process started. What is really to show you, because always the numbers are the most makes the most impression, yeah, and gives you the idea of how big these changes were. So basically, what is really important, as you can see, first partition of Poland, 1772. How so this is in kilometers. So in miles it would be 1.6 kilometer. This is 1 mile, and so the changes of the territory itself were huge. But the territory is one thing, and the other is really to see. The other thing is to see it actually on the map, yeah, and you can see very clearly here how this territory was divided, yeah, and how it affected the political situation, the social situation, and economical situation of our Polish ancestors. So basically, the most important numbers as for Polish history of partitions, and which are closely connected to your family history, are the numbers connected with people, yeah. So just imagine how it looked like looking at these numbers. In Russian partition, there ended up 5.5 million inhabitants of this part of the departed regions of Poland. Prussia, 2.6 million inhabitants, and Austria about 4.2 million. Yeah, and from 1794 until 1918, there was no Poland for 123 years. Basically, the Prussia, Russia, and Austro-Hungarian Empire were trying. The main aim was to basically, of course, demolish Poland, Polish history, but also that doesn't let the Polish nation to become a country again. Yeah. So and this process was going on for the whole 19th century, and very much affected the further moves of our Polish ancestors. So the fact that they were emigrating. Yeah. So so this is how it looks as a number. This is how it finally looked on a map. Yeah. So Poland was erased from the maps, from the official political view on the global situation. And what is really important from what I started, yes, so the Russian, Prussian, or Austro-Hungarian maybe, because and as I mentioned, we can especially see it on the immigration documentation. And here we have the manifest, the ship manifest, yeah, the arrival, and I will zoom it a little bit for you. So basically here, we have the information on Cyril Sobczyk, who was emigrating to United States in 1908, and it is said that he was in fact he was Polish, although he was coming from Russia. Yeah, and this is what I really meant, that it may be quite confusing at the very beginning if we, although there is a nationality outlined, the fact that people are emigrating from a different part of departed Poland. Yeah, and it may cause some incorrect directions at the very beginning of our research, because we know that we need these places, we need the information to make a step back and find the information analysis from the place from where they were emigrating from. So here we have, as I mentioned, on a particular case, we have Cyril Sobczak, and it is said that he was, of course, the additional information, he was emigrating from this is okay. So he was emigrating for a particular place in Poland that we will figure out a little bit later, but we will be sticking to that particular to that particular example. So let's just have this subject Cyril in mind for the further presentation. What is really important, and coming back to the numbers, let's just have also look, because like the national minorities in Poland, yeah, this is really important also when we are starting to understand how the country was divided and how much multicultural it was. So basically until 1931, although there were so many uprisings, there were so many wars and battles going through the area of Poland that was basically not existing at the time, it was a safe place for multiculturalism. Yeah, so and this diagram is showing that. Yeah, you can see that the people who were who see themselves as actual Poles, there were, I would say, just 64% of all, and here we have also 16% of Ukrainians, 10% of Jewish, Belarusian, German, Russian, Lithuania. Yeah, so no wonder that nowadays, when you are chasing your Polish ancestry, sometimes you need to go to into the direction to Ukraine, sometimes to Belarusia, Lithuania, Russia, and so on and so forth. So this is how it looked in 1931. What I really wanted to show you, and what is really shocking, see what happened during almost 20 years. Yeah, national minorities in Poland, 1954. What has happened after the Second World War? So basically, lots of course, people were moving in 19th century, were emigrating from Poland in 19th century, especially because of the situation connected with the partitions. But also there was a huge emigration wave after the First World War, and especially at the Second World War, of course, plus how many people were simply killed or died in the Second World War. But this is how it changed. Yeah, I just wanted to outline and show you, because in many research projects, as I see, it is surprising that even the religion changes. Yeah, and the information about the place from where our ancestors came from, about the religion of our ancestors, determining where the records are stored. That's why I wanted to outline for you these two very important information. So the history of so every time when you're starting any case of your ancestors, any of your ancestors' history, trying to rediscover that, it is really important to pay attention to the place where they were living, under what division, partition they lived in Poland, and what religion, what was their religion. Yeah, but these changing, unfortunately, we could make a separate webinar as for why these numbers changed so much. Yeah, but that's a different idea for another event or meeting. So what is really important again, as for starting to gather information that are needed for further research. So we always say that we start from ourselves. So what can I find in the family archive? What will be really necessary and important for the further research that will eventually end up in Poland? So metrical records, birth, marriages and death records, military records, emigration, naturalization records, school records, photos, letters. This is basically what you may have or your relatives may have in your houses. Maybe they don't know. Maybe it's worth to take a little bit time and organizing to see to organize your family archive, because everyone has it, and find out if you have that kind of documentation. And why is it important? Because it will include any of these records. It should the location. Location is always the key. Yeah. So location determines, as I mentioned before, where the records are stored, in which archives, in which institutions, where to head to ask for the information. Yeah. So this is a task for you, especially for you, those of you who are just starting and don't know where to look yet. So maybe this holiday time will give you so much more time to check again if maybe this key information about the location is stored in the documentation that you have already. What kind of documents by the one that may include the location name? Among this documentation, there will be metrics, yeah, and many of documents that are coming from people who are asking us for the assistance looks more or less like that, yeah. So these are the baptism extracts, for example, the birth extracts, as we can see, or for example, the passports. Here we have in the middle there is a Reisepass. So the passport, Testamentum Copulatonis, so on the right hand side, which is a marriage certificate, the extract of marriage that took place in Krakow, in Latin, of course, because all the records that were being created in Austro-Hungarian, Austrian partition of Poland were being created in Latin, in case of metrics. In case of other documentation, that was German or Latin, sometimes Polish as well. And on the left-hand side is something the most popular that you're finding, that your ancestors could have taken with them overseas, yeah? So the confirmation of baptism on the left-hand side. Here we have the confirmation of Edwards baptism, and it includes a very particular location name, and even to which parish or religious society this religious commune this location belonged to. So this is very important to pay attention to such kind of documentation. Then if we have already looked up this information, it is also important to ask a particular questions that we also ask you when you are trying to find some help as for Polish ancestry. So of course these are maybe obvious, but sometimes, as I mentioned, it is worth to come back to it. What do we have? Names, first names, surnames, nicknames. This is, I don't know if you came across such a situation, but in Poland, many people were using nicknames instead of both first names and surnames. So if somebody heard someone, sometimes they use these nicknames instead of their actual official names all their lives. So this is a really also important clue. dates, even approximate one. We don't have to have a precise month, day, year, but even a range of years is always something that will get us closer to the act's documentation location. Places, exact town names, district, geographical regions, landscape. We had many cases that somebody didn't know the location name, but for example, the grandmother remembered that the family lived nearby seaside, for example. Yeah, hopefully there's just one sea, Bali Sea, that belongs to Polish borders. So that narrows down the area of the research. Yeah, so even the particular pieces of the landscape may give us a clue when location seems to be unspottable. Yeah, so it's really important to ask even about these little things. Languages the ancestors spoke. Why is it important? Because if you know that they spoke Russian, this is probably this is most probable that they came from Russian partition of Poland. Yeah, and again, it narrows down a little bit the research scope, the research area. So this is also important to get to know what languages they spoke and what if they learned that in school, if they learned that in the military service, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so these details are also very useful. Schools the ancestors were attending to after they emigrated to Poland. That is a very interesting subject, yeah, because to get to know their education as much as you have this information in your family, yeah, because that maybe also get us some clues, because especially when we're talking about the immigration at the beginning, at the end of 19th century and then the beginning of 20th century, there were not that many schools, and sometimes basing on the what classes that they have, what they attended to, you can also precise the places where the family could came from. Yeah, it is also possible. So these are the few things that it's worth to remember when you will be speaking with your relatives. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, location is the key. And what I really wanted to outline to you, basing on the location, we will choose the administration way of obtaining the documentation in Poland. Yeah, this is very important. That looking for documents in Poland, we have to remember about two systems. Okay, so there is a official administrational state administration, okay, which includes state archives, official state museums, libraries, and so on and so forth, and that will concern all religions. Yeah, so regardless what our ancestor beliefs were, so we will find that information in state archives and other institutions that I will talk about later. But there is also this huge church administration. Yeah, so if we're not finding the particular information in the state archives, we are heading to the parish, for example, or to diocesan archive. That may include that includes basically the copies of the original records from the parish. Yeah, because at some point, as you probably heard of, church administration was representing the state administration, because that was the law that was included by Napoleon Bonaparte at the very beginning of 19th century. So for the many years, church was also issuing the official documentation regarding births, marriages, and deaths for the state administration. And that means something really useful for us, because sometimes when some of the records are missing, might be missing in a state archives, in a parish archive, it may be in diocesan archive because they have copies, and backwards. Yeah, so sometimes if something is missing at the diocesan archives, it may be available in parish archive. Yeah, so it is really worth to remember. So there are these two platforms that we are heading to, looking for these basic documentation metrics. But of course, as for the whole range of other additional sources, as for genealogy, school records, the censuses, military records, and so on and so forth, we'll head to the state administration. So, and what is really important, almost every province in Poland, we have 16 provinces, has their own state archive. And the general rule, both in church administration and the state administration in Poland, is the fact that documents that are being archived, staying in the archive where in the area territory where it was produced, where it was issued. Okay, so we have many questions, for example, that on our border with Germany, so our eastern border, they were living before Second World War and 19th century and so forth. Back in the history, there were living many German-originated citizens. Yeah, so people are asking, where will I find the records on these German citizens? And the answer, knowing how it works in Poland, how administration works, and how the document storage works in Poland, we know that the records, because they were issued in this area, which now belongs to Poland, they are in Polish state archives. Yeah, so they will be in Katowice, in Wrocław, so Breslau, in Szczecin, Stettin, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so this is really important to remember. Yeah, so if my ancestor was born in Wieliczka, for example, the closest state archive in the province of Małopolskie is in Kraków. So most probably the records connected with this family should be found in Kraków State Archive. Okay, so location, and these two systems that we are heading to in Poland as for getting the documentation. What kind of records that you can expect in state archives? Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't happen too much that we cannot locate the metrical records, which are the most important, that are the core for our genealogical tree. But it sometimes happens that something might have been missed, yeah, or demolished. Some documentation was burned, stolen, and so on and so forth. So that's why we're looking for other to the other sources. And what I want to outline to you is the fact that apart from metrical records in state archives, every bigger city in 16 Polish provinces, there are documentation regarding religion. This is really, really important. Acts of civil status, so birth, marriage, and death records, as you probably know, censuses, address books, court documentation, school documentation, military records, land documentation, voters list, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so this is a wide range of different type of documentation that you can find in the state archives. As for the church archives, and I mean from the Roman Catholics' point of view, we can, and also, yeah, I'm trying to make it really general, both because as for the church archives, we also we might talk about the Greek Catholics and the Orthodox and so on and so forth, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible at the moment. So as for the church archives, we have, as I mentioned before, parish archives and diocesan archives. Here's where we can find, most importantly, metrical records. But what is really important, there are also status animarum Yeah, status. I mean, it means the list of the souls. Yeah, the parish souls, and these are kind of censuses for each parish. And I just realized that not so many people knows about it. Yeah, that apart from the metrical records, almost each parish had to create the list of their parishioners, because basing on the list on the number of parishioners, and this is how still is, they are paying the tax to Vatican, yeah. So and to the diocese and archdiocese and so on and so forth. So of course, not in every parish these lists are survived until today, but it's always worth to ask. Yeah. Apart from that, there is, I don't know if you know such custom in Poland. As for the Roman Catholic Church, there is a custom such as kolęda after Christmas. So the main priest at the parish, he's walking from door to door and he's meeting their parishioners. He's having a notebook, and he's writing, and every family and every house, every flat has their own pages or envelope, and he is writing what is changing in this family life and how they live and so on. And so this kind of a interview. But yeah, it happens nowadays. It may be quite confusing, but this is also maybe a subject for another webinar. But nevertheless, it also happened. It was happening in the past, especially beginning of 20th century, end of 19th century, and such lists exist. And what is amazing in that records that apart from birth, marriages, and death records, apart of the parish souls censuses lists, in these documentation from kolęda, they were really adding the history of what was happening to these people from this particular house. Yeah, either they emigrated, maybe they got married, sometimes even not really honorable facts from their life, that maybe they ended up in a prison or something. So that is also worth to explore when we will have a chance and we'll get to the parish that we are looking for, and from where our ancestors came from. Okay, so what kind of, I will just make it quick, what kind of records we will find in particular partitions. So this is how the exemplary records from metrical books from Austro-Hungarian partition of Poland looks like. And I believe if you have ancestors from this area, you know this already. On the left-hand side, we have the baptisms. On the right-hand side, there is a marriage record, marriage entries, marriage register, and at the bottom there is a death register. The page from the death register, and it's all, of course, in Latin. As the other example, here are the records from the central Poland, from the Russian partition of Poland. And what is really important, that although it is quite a different form, yeah, because they are written more as a description, yeah. So it happened on that year, in that place, and on that time. So it's not like a table in case of Austro-Hungarian partition. But what is really important is the fact that although at the very beginning that in that partition the records were being created in Polish, then after the January uprising, the people who were fighting for their freedom, it didn't work out. Yeah, they failed, and as a part of what happened after the uprising, the Russians introduced the Cyrillic alphabet and the Russian language into official administration. They want to wipe out Polish language at all, even from the documents. So that's why from 1860s, the documents will be written in Russian language. Yeah, although the structure of the document is just the same as it was in Polish. So the information about the parents, the date, the child's name will be in the same places, and sometimes it will be in Polish in brackets, which is also helpful on these documents, regardless on the time when they were produced. But this is the example of the record that was created in the Russian part of Poland's partition. And then we have, of course, German records, yeah, so exemplary German records, which are, although they're being written in also in a little bit different alphabet. The information this is on the information are included into the forms, yeah, so you have the exact these information are also in these exact places, and it's a little bit and it's not that difficult to read it, yeah. We're always saying that your eyes are adjusting when you're looking through the records and through the books. Your eyes are adjusting to the handwriting of the person that was created the records, and then it's much easier to figure out what is included in the document. And here we have the marriage certificate that you can see, which is zoomed one, of course, all in German. And here we have the birth certificate, also the first name of the born and baptized child is here almost by the end of the document. So this is how it looked like in a Prussian partition of Poland. So yeah, okay, so so this is very important to remember, that there were 3 partitions, and most probably your ancestors who emigrated from Poland, their history had to be connected with that political, economical, and social events that were associated with Poland non-existing for 123 years. And going to a more practical information, also very important. It's worth to remember, even we have this location, which is the key in the genealogical search. It is worth to remember that Polish administration was changing constantly. Yeah. Considering the changes connected with the partitions, connected with the different administrations, how land were being moved from one owner to the other, the names of the location were changing. Yeah, so we have to, and then even when we know the name of the place today, it may belong to a different civil records institution or to different parish than it belonged in the 19th century, at the beginning of 20th century, on the time when your ancestors lived in Poland. Yeah, and there is a huge help, and I am hoping that you already know it. If not, then please continue listening. There is a huge assistance that is available online, which is called Słownik Geograficzny Królestwa Polskiego i innych krajów słowiańskich. So, Geographical and Historical Dictionary of Polish Kingdom. That includes the information, the historical information about the all territory of Polish kingdom that was created by the end of 19th century and beginning of 20th century. So it includes information on the actual political administration situation of this location of your ancestors, more or less in where most of this emigration took place. Yeah. So hope that you have still in mind our Cyril that was emigrating to United States in 1908. And I figured out from the record that he was coming from Błażowa. Yeah. So basically, what I really need to do, and I want to find his family information that are connected to his life before he emigrated, and I do have this location name, so Błażowa. And I decided to check to which region, to which institution, civil status records institution or parish this Błażowa belonged back in 19th century. And what is really important in that database, which is available online, and it has index that you can see on the left hand side on the top of this website. You can simply enter the location here, and then your location that you're looking for pops up, and you can read a little bit more about it. Of course, it is in Polish, although it is quite useful to know actually one word in Polish, which is parish, so parafia, and in the shortening par and dot, yeah. And you're looking for that information in the text on the left. And what I'm getting to know is the fact that here Błażowa has a parish that was actually on the spot, yeah, so in this place. So this is a very important information that Błażowa was always a separate parish, and I will be looking for the records for Błażowa location in Poland. So it didn't belong to any other location, so I can rely on that information, yeah, because I am assuming that this this information will be really helpful to find the actual records. Apart from that, of course, that would be really useful to have this entry from this library, from this dictionary translated, because you have the information about the number of the people who lived in this parish, which is 6,295. Parishioners and so on and so forth. That there was a school there on the spot in this location, so we have a hope that we will find the school records from that place and so on and so forth. Yeah, but what is really important at this very moment, that having these immigration records that say that that Cyril was from Błażowa, I was able to locate to which metrical institution that issues the metrics at the very end of 19th century, beginning of 20th century, this location belonged to. Yes, so I know I will be looking for records from Błażowa. At this very spot, I wanted to tell you that yes, I am recording that presentation, and I will send it out for you. I'm sorry. Plus, as for any questions, we will have to after I finish, because it's quite difficult to look on the chat and lecture on the same time. So after I finish, we'll have some time to get into questions. Yeah. So I will send you out the list of the portals of the website that I am talking about here today. As well as this the recording from that webinar. So don't worry, you don't even have to take notes. You will get that information. So here we have a parish, we have the location, we have our Cyril, and what next? I am. It may sound quite unbelievable, but often we use Wikipedia, yeah? So it gives me the information where the records will probably be stored. And what I'm getting to know is that Błażowa from Wikipedia, yeah, that Błażowa is a town in Rzeszów County. Why is it important to check it also in Wikipedia? Because it happens a lot that, especially on the matter of very small villages, one village of your ancestor name, the name of the village of your ancestor may also be a 50 other villages that has that had the same name in the same time where your ancestor, Polish ancestor, was living in on the territory of Poland. Yeah, so you have to be very, very careful and compare the information from the dictionary that I showed you with the information from Wikipedia if this is the same place, okay? Because it may end up that even though you located the name of the place from where they were coming from, it may happen that this is not the place because, for example, as for Kraków, yeah, there is also one other Kraków in Poland, so that may be quite confusing. Not mentioning other small villages that are even over hundreds of the same name. So please be careful and compare this information, yeah, especially with the dictionary that includes the information that concerns the actual time where your ancestors lived in Poland. So I have Warsaw. I got to know that this is in Rzeszów County. So you should probably already assume. So you should probably you should guess in which state archive these records will be stored. If this is in Rzeszów County, then probably Rzeszów State Archive, but we will check. So now, how we proceed next? I have the location. I have an assumption. I checked it, double check it, and I have the assumption in which archive it may be stored. I will now check where is it exactly and what is the range of the records of the books that are available, what I can search through, trying to find the information on my ancestors. And so the most important website that is available in English as well as for the whole state archives in Poland is Szukaj w archiwach, so search in the archives portal. And this is where all the information about the records, about the registers and documentation that are stored in Polish state archives are included in. It doesn't mean that you will find all these records on this portal, but it will give you the location, it will give you the information about the range of the years that are available, of the type of the documentation on particular places that you're looking for that are stored in a particular archive. So again, knowing the location is the most important information because it will give you the idea of what you can find of your Polish family history in Poland. Yeah. So Szukaj w archiwach. What you really see here, this is a screenshot from the website, from the platform. There is a, I don't know if you have it, no. There is a newer version available, okay. So somebody was late, Kamil. The first was the dictionary, geographical and historical dictionary of Poland, Polish Kingdom. And I am recording that webinar. So you will all get it, and also I will send you the list to everyone. I will send you the list of the databases, websites that I'm mentioning, the sources on your email addresses. Okay, so coming back to Szukaj w archiwach, very important portal that includes all the documentation that is stored in Polish state archives. And there is a newer version of this website that is available already under a different, under a different address, and I will write it down on a chat, which is www.szukajwarchiwach.gov.pl. Yes, this is a newer version, although that one is being tested. Yeah, so I really do not recommend you to use that website that I'm putting on the chat now, and I will mention that in my emails as well, because it is still being tested, and many information that are that can be found on the previous version of the site that you can see, and it's available online. You can find on that portal, although the same information cannot, in some cases, cannot be found on the newer one because it's still being tested. So please carefully get used to the view of the oldest version, which is good and which is working, and this is where you're starting to get to know what kind of records on your ancestry in Polish state archives are stored. So you can search. This is how the main main view of the website looks like, and you can look here. There is a vital records and civil registers that you are interested the most at the very beginning. So we are entering the name. Just a second. So here in the browser we are entering the name of Błażowa because I know Błażowa belonged to Błażowa back in 19th century. And what I'm getting to know is, this is another view after I click search, that Błażowa community, that there are different records stored in where in state archives in Rzeszów. There is a real, this is the information in gray. So basically, Błażowa community Błażowa, there are records from 1910. There are the records Mojżeszowe, so for the Jewish community of Błażowa. There are bands available. But there are also Roman Catholic records available for the years 1842 to 1904, and there's zgony, urodzenia, and basically that's it. So there are no birth records for Błażowa, which is also an important information, which means that I will have to head to parish or diocesan or archdiocesan archives to check if they have birth records, when in the situation when they're missing in the state archives. Yeah. So what do I have here? I have okay, so let's see. So this is the most basic information. Yeah. So what kind of metrical records that I'm starting from are stored in the state archives? In this particular case, again, I have confirmed that this is this place because it's in Rzeszów State Archive. So this is what I was looking for. And now another step is that I am able to check if these records, at least what they have in the state archives in Rzeszów, are available online. So I'm clicking in one of these records. I'm looking at Błażowa and have a look on the collection, yeah, because on the left-hand side there is a description of this unit in the archive, state archive in Rzeszów. And I look at the connection. Most of the cases, when it's highlighted in this blue color, it may mean that the scans are available online, because it's worth to remember that also Poland is really progressing on the fact of the process of digitalization of the records. Yes, yeah? So more and more records will be available online, and the state archive, the whole administration of the state archive started from the metrical records, and then another sources that are being stored in state archives in Poland. So there is a high chance that the records of your ancestors' village connected with the place from where they are coming from is available online, especially when this collection part is in blue. So I am clicking on that number 59/20/O Akta Stanu Cywilnego Parafii Rzymskokatolickiej w Błażowie, which means the Roman Catholic Acts of Błażowa Parish. And it turned out that they are available, the acts from Błażowa, yeah? So basically, I have the units. I have 20 units available online, as you can see on the under the name of the parish, the collection in red, and then I have the information about the units. There are 20 of them, and the dates available: 1784 till 1904, and we are still talking about the Szukaj Szukaj w Archiwach portal. We are still here on that website, yeah. And I am clicking again. Sorry, I am clicking on the units, And what I have here's the list of the units regarding the Błażowa that I'm looking the metrical books for. And here I have the book of births, I have the book of marriages for the different villages that were part of Błażowa, because it seems that Błażowa was in fact not a really small place, but it included a few other villages. That was a one commune of Błażowa that included smaller places. So as you can see, for example, there is a book of births for city of Błażowa at that time, that for the days 1846, 1860, and includes the number of scans 107. And then basing on the information that I'm looking for, I am clicking on the range of years that I am interested in and the type of the record that I'm interested in, and I am clicking at the birth records from the range 1883 1896, and that was a position, just a second, that was a unit 12. So I'm clicking at unit 12, and what do I have here? I have digital copies that you can see above, just on the right hand side from this red button, digital copies, 224 scans. Okay, so I'm clicking on that scans. I have the just to remind you, birth records 1883 to 1896, and here I have the records finally, and I'm going page by page to see to find the information that I'm looking for. And so here, this is a Rzeszów, so this is a part of Austrian partition of Poland division. So the records will be in what language? The metrical records, as you're supposed to remember, in Latin. And what I have here, so I was looking, I hope that you remember the Cyril subject that I showed you on the immigration record at the very beginning of presentation. I looked through Błażowa records, and who I found? I have found our hero of this presentation of our evening, so Cyril Sobczak. I found him in these records. This is Cyril, and he was born on 6th July 1881. As a son of Valentinus, of course, in Latin, Sobczak, who was the son of Paulis Sobczak and Józefa, daughter of Simony Rybka, Katarina Słaby, and his mother Katarzyna Słaby, Katarina Słaby, daughter of Kazimierz Słaby, Katarina Pociask, and the godparents. So, and this is something really, really amazing about this Austrian Galician records, basically, because they are the few generational information that you can find in the entry. In the end, this is the happy end of that search. So we began from the immigration records. We got to know what the location is. We got to know to which parish this location belonged to at the time when Cyril was emigrating, and it turned out the records were available on Szukaj w Archiwach portal. And I found the records, and hopefully you will get through that to the same process with the success when you're looking for the records. But what is also so I have completed the Cyril Sobczak case. What is really important about the records in Poland, because we have, as you remember, the state administration, church administration, but there is this huge subject which is called the personal data protection law in Poland. Okay, so it's really important, especially as for the state administration, these records that are being stored there, they are not protected by data privacy law in Poland. Because they are being moved from civil registry offices in case of birth after 100 years from the year of the birth of the person, in case of marriages and deaths after 80 years. So this is basically when somebody is being born, this fact is being entered into the civil registry office where this person was born, and then it stays there for 100 years and then being moved to the our state archive to which this town where this person was born belonged, or village, so the village to which administration, for example, commune or gmina, and then province this village belonged. So it's really important to remember that. And so when your ancestors on your relatives were born less than 100 years ago, the records won't be in on the state archives, they will be in the civil registry offices. What is really important to remember, to obtain the record from the civil registry, you have to be directly related to the person of the document that you are trying to obtain. And to outline the aim of the application. This is really important when you are dealing with Polish administration, especially the civil registry offices. Yeah. So what does it mean to be directly related? So, for example, I can apply for my birth records, for my mother's birth records, for my grandmother records, and so on and so forth. But according to the Polish personal data protection law, I can't apply for my mother's sisters, for example, records that are still being under the protection of personal data law, and they are being stored in the civil registry. Yeah. So after the 100 years, they will be moved into the state archives, and it will be possible for me to get this record. But before that, I have to. There are some specific situations that I may apply for this record. For example, there's nobody else who could apply for it, and it's really important for some, for example, court case or something, or that type of situation. Yeah, but in general, you have to be directly related. The basics of Polish genealogy online. Okay, just a few words on that. So I don't know if you, I hope that some of you have heard of that database, Genetyka. So here in Poland, we have Polish Genealogical Society, which gathers people from all around Poland, basically all around the world, who are connected with Polish ancestry, and they are indexing the entries of the metrical records from all around Poland in their current but also historical borders. Yeah, so they're indexing metrical records, and there are indexes of this metric for the whole area of Poland, regardless the region, which is also very important. This number, so as you can see, here's the, and it's available in English, and this browser shows the numbers of how many records are being indexed and put into the database. So as you can see, there are different provinces here. There are Dolnośląskie, Małopolskie, Mazowieckie, Warsaw, Pommern, so the seaside areas, but also Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, and so on and so forth. Here we have in total over 29 million records that were being indexed and put into the database. So you can search by name and see if your ancestor is already in the database. Although this is not a really current screenshot, because I know that there are over 31 millions of indexes nowadays that are available in Genetyka, and I'm really encouraging you to visit this website, because just having a simple luck, yeah, it is possible that you can find the information, but in the same times, somebody who is indexing the parish that your ancestor is coming from could have already entered the information that you're looking for into the database. So Genetyka, if you just put Genetyka, Geneteka, into Google, you will definitely, and add PL, for example, you will definitely find this database and search for particular information. So how it looks like, just to show you the search engine. So when you put the Geneteca, it looks like this picture on the right on the presentation. So it shows you the area. You put the surname and the years of the range of the years that you're looking for your ancestors, and on the left hand side you're getting the results. For example, I was looking for our tonight's hero, Cyril Sobczyk, to see if maybe somebody indexed him into that database, and guess what? He was indexed. And what are we getting here? So the very basic and simple indexed information that I was looking. I chose Podkarpackie because Rzeszów is in Podkarpackie province, yeah. So I narrowed down the location and the possible results, and I put the name and the surname and the range of the years, because I knew from the immigration record that he was born in 1881 approximately, yeah. So I put 1880 to 90 the years that he probably was born in. And I got the result at the bottom, yeah. So this exact record that I was looking for, and you can see the year, the record number here on the bottom, the name, the surname, father's name, mother's surname, parish, place. And what is really important in that database, that in many cases, and there are more cases like that, that they are connecting the index of the records together with the digitized record that is available, for example, on Szukaj w Archiwach. So this most important and main portal for the state archives in Poland. So it will get you directly to the scan when you see. So if you see on the right hand side at the end of this entry the word scan, this is exactly how it sounds and what it means in English. So, but it's written, there's a K instead of C, and you will this button will get you to the website where the record is being stored. Yeah, so it's worth to look through that. And of course, why this database, the Geneteca, is important? It's important because if you don't know the location, you can at least see where were your ancestors' surnames located in Poland. Yeah. So, for example, if you have no idea, you know they came from Poland, but you don't know exactly where, you will at least see where the surnames are located, in which province, in which towns. So you will have a chance to narrow down the area of the research. So it's really, really important website. Apart from general whole Poland databases, there are also local databases for the particular areas, provinces. There are also local genealogical societies. For example, there is a separate one for Małopolska, so more or less Galicia, Kraków area. And there are a different one for Pommern, for North Poland. There is a different one for eastern regions, for western, and so on and so forth. And it's worth to outline these as well. What we have here, this is a Poznań project, and I think that this is one of the oldest and very thorough one as for Polish genealogy, especially online. It includes basically, I think, over 90% of the marriages that took place in Wielkopolska region, yeah, that happened in the whole 19th century. Yeah. So if your ancestors got married in this area of Wielkopolska, there is over 90% chances that this marriage was indexed if they got married in 19th century in that region. So it's really worth to visit this website too. The link to the website is outlined here on that slide, but I will send you this website as a part of the list of the websites and the portals that I'm presenting you now during the presentation. So again, what are the indexed information that you can find on this website? Here, there is a result of the search that I did for the purposes of that presentation. Here we have the marriage, for example, of Joannes Sobczyk and Nepomucena from the year 1800, and from the parish Dalewo, for example. Yeah. So again, basic information: names, places, dates, the locations, and if you click on that parish name, you will see also the information where the records for that parish are stored in the state archives, or also in the church archives in Poland. So it's very, very useful, especially when your ancestors are coming from this area of Poland. Also, for the area of Bydgoszcz, Wielkopolskie, there's this huge database called Basia. This is the project for, again, Wielkopolska, so Greater Poland. You can also find the index information there, but the range is wider than in case of Poznań project marriages. And again, you can find the basic index information here regarding marriages, births, and deaths that took place in this area. Yeah. So as you can see here, and you can also find the exact records location in Polish archives, state archives, church archives, or other institution where these records are stored. Yeah, so very useful as for this part of Poland. So Wielkopolska, Greater Poland. We have also Pommern, so north of Poland. They're also indexed there, and there are over 5 million, but I think definitely more that are indexed, the birth, marriages, and deaths that are indexed from that part of Poland. They have also very, very simple search engine available on the website, and very intuitive way of searching for the entries, the index entries that are the part of this database. So if your ancestors are coming from this part of Poland, I really encourage you to visit this website too. So the website of the local genealogical societies in Poland. What else? Lublin, yeah. So the eastern part of Poland, yes, in the Russian division of Polish lands. Lublin and the area, they have an amazing database, a very rich one, over 7 million of records that were being indexed on the website Lubgens.eu. And you can search through this engine. These are exact the same ways of searching for information as for the case of Geneteka or Poznań project or Basia or Pommern Genealogical Society. So if you will go through, even most of them are also available in English, but if you will go through one, then you will be able to go through all of them. Yeah, so because they are very, very, very simple. Yeah. And by the way, when you're having Polish ancestry, it will be worth to get to know the most basic words as urodzenia, małżeństwa, and zgony. So birth, marriages, and deaths. And then if you know these 3 words, I'm sure you will go through these databases with a lot of successes. As you seen before on my presentation, what is really important, we had a huge Jewish community that lived in Poland before the Second World War, especially through 19th century, and even the greater past. And here we have the most important database as for the Polish Jewish ancestry. And this is a project called Jewish Records Indexing Poland. And basically they have indexes for whole Polish territory in our current and the historical borders. Yeah, so a part of Ukraine, Lithuania, Belarus records are also included here. The indexes, they also redirecting, if the scan is available online in one of the portals, you can be redirected to the page where this scan is available. Yes, so I highly recommend, if you have Jewish ancestry connected with Poland, to search through that database. So basically, we're coming to the end of this presentation. What I wanted to say, that these are very basic information about how to start with Polish genealogy. What I really wanted you to remember from that presentation is the fact that before you head to Poland, before you head to Polish portals, to Polish archives, it is very important to do your homework on your Polish ancestry. So get as much information on your Polish ancestry that you can from your relatives, from your family archives. See if you know this family archives that well as you think. If you know what are the exact records that are there and what are the locations that are included into that documentation. If not, there are several portals and databases that you can try to locate these towns, these villages, these places from where your Polish ancestors came from, and basing on that location as a key, you can open the door to your Polish ancestry, to the state archives, to the church archives, or other institutional archives in Poland, and even find the scans and records online. Okay, but this is just a short bit, because there are many other portals. If you wish, we can organize other webinars, other presentation and events that will be connected, and I can go with you step by step live online through these portals and showed you how to get more information on your Polish ancestors. Yeah, if you have a specific, I will go now to the section of question and answers in a moment. But what I wanted to outline is the fact that if you have an individual questions, it is very difficult for me to answer them now, because I would need to go through Google and check it, szukaj w archiwach, so search in the archives to check what is the available documentation for your family history connected with Poland. So I encourage you, here you have info@yourrootsinpoland.com, and you can easily just ask us in the emails, and I will be very happy to help you with locating where your Polish ancestor records are stored in Poland and how to reach them. Yeah, so if you have individual questions, I will be happy to answer them all through emails, but as for the general questions, I will be happy to answer them now. Before we'll go to the question and answers, here our websites. We are available on Facebook, we are available on Instagram as well, and we're trying to share a very worthwhile content. As for Polish ancestry, I will be happy if you visit this website as well. And by the occasion, we are doing also the commercial research, so we're researching the genealogical research. Polish ancestry is also our commercial service, and we have a very nice vouchers for that you can give to your relatives that have ancestry connected with Poland as you. As a Christmas gift, for example, yeah, and we have these vouchers for $300 or $500 that you can spend on your ancestry using on our services, and that includes the consultation with us, the search, the research reports, translation, and the plan for the further family research. This is the one voucher, and the other one is a little bit wider, because it also includes the history of the place from where your Polish ancestors came from, and the get confirmed plus the plan. So if you'll be interested, you can contact me directly on the mentioned emails, and I'll be happy to assist you with that as well. But coming back to the question and answers now. So just a second. So now's the time. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer them all, especially these general ones. So I'm listening again. What I wanted to know, because depending on what time you joined this presentation. So what was the link? What was if you were late for the presentation? Again, I want to tell you that I'm doing the recording of that presentation. I will send you. I will make the list of the links that I was using that during that presentation, and I will send it on your email addresses, so you will have it. We will have a chance to go through this website, trying to find the information that you're looking for on your Polish ancestors. Okay, so is there likely to be vital records data in the Polish website that is not in the Jewish records index in Poland records? Yes, it's possible. Yeah, it's always worth to double check. To compare the information in Jewish Record Indexing Poland website and the one that are available for the specific location on Szukaj w archiwach, so search in the archives portal, yeah, to see, because Jewish Records Indexing Poland is also ongoing project. They don't have all the records that are stored inside the archives indexed, so it's worth to check if there are other included into the Polish State Archives as well through Szukaj w archiwach, so search in the archives.com website, yeah, that I will also send you the link to. So definitely it's worth to compare that. Okay, another question. Just a second. Oh, I'm happy that you're saying that you really like this presentation. Okay, here are also some individual questions, and I will try to fastly go through it. Okay. Oh, okay. So here we have from Abby this question. I have been searching for my own grandfather's records for over 10 years. He was born in Warsaw in 1882. I know a great deal about his mother's family from the 1750s in Lublin. Nothing about him or his father. His mother had the same surname as her son, my grandfather. Okay, so as for Warsaw, Warsaw is also a difficult case, yeah, but we tend to not ever saying that something is impossible to find, because in case of Warsaw, Warsaw was awfully demolished during the Second World War, and basically, and then even after, again, the archive, the main archive of the city, was also destroyed. So it is very difficult to locate the metrical, most of the metrical documentation as for Warsaw, but again, depending on the religion, because in case of, for example, Roman Catholics from Warsaw or Greek Catholics from Warsaw, there are many documents, copies that are stored in Archdiocesan Archive of Warsaw, for example, yeah. So this is the place where we would look for the copies of the records. Nevertheless, some of the records were saved and are available in Warsaw, but apart from metrical records, there are other sources, such as censuses, such as address books, such as voters list, that I would look for in Warsaw State Archives and through Szukaj w archiwach to check if there is anything available at all, to see if there are other additional sources that may give us the information that I look for on my Polish ancestor from this area, from Warsaw. And I've seen on the chat, as in the case of Warsaw, the tricky thing is that back in at the beginning of 20th century, there were even 8 civil registry offices in Warsaw, and then even more. So, considering your ancestors who came from big cities, it is good to know in what part of the city they came from, where they were born. because it may lead us to a different civil registry offices where the information are stored. Yeah, so before I try to find metrical records on my ancestor from the bigger towns such as Warsaw, I would try to find them in the addresses books, in the censuses records, because that would direct me to a particular civil registry, because I know more or less on what street that they live in. Yeah, so Warsaw is a very individual case, and this is also a matter of luck if the records on your ancestors survive to that day. Yeah, so this is something, this particular case, I would have to go through the separately, and I cannot do now, but it's very, very interesting. So thank you for that question. Okay, that's a interesting question. Can you please give some insight on finding living relatives in Poland? That's also a complex and long process. Sometimes short, yeah. But nowadays, what is really important is getting to know this the law of data privacy. Yeah, so when we will be looking for living relatives, we're most commonly we are also reaching to civil registry offices to see newer information. If we are directly related, then it is possible to find information civil registry, although and nevertheless, if we're talking about the time in the second, for example, half of 20th century, there are, for example, address and phone books that are stored in the local libraries, for example, that you can use, and they're not under the protection of data privacy law, which is also a very wide subject, but nevertheless, so I'm looking for the telephone books, for the addresses books. Living relatives in Poland, I am also trying to search through places like Facebook. I know it's simple, but it works a lot of times, yeah? So even to check, but if you know at least what is the location of your Polish family in Poland that you're looking at the living relatives for, then it is worth to, if it's a small village especially, it's worth to get in touch with for example, with the village administrator, or that is called wójt or sołtys, and people knows people, yeah. So if you drop the name, yeah, like hello, do you know if the people of that name still live in that place, then these people are really, really helpful and will guide you through the history. Even if these people with that surname doesn't live there anymore, they would probably remember the ones who lived before, or they will guide you to the other person, the oldest, for example, representatives of the local community that may remember that history. Yes, but really looking for living relatives in Poland depends on many factors. Yeah, so I would need to get a little bit more of the background on that situation, but I hope that I help a little bit. Okay, another question. Are pre-1772 records for Eastern Galicia available in any modern day Poland databases or only in modern day Ukraine databases? I would say it depends on the location, yeah, because there are some, of course, although what I have to say and outline, unfortunately, the region of Galicia, so Kraków area and the south east of Poland that was part of Galicia is the least indexed region in Poland, unfortunately, yeah. So these records maybe are available and may survive until today, but most probably they are available in the parishes, for example, or in the archdiocesan archives especially, but not available as an indexed information in the online databases, for example. or even in our state archives themselves. Yeah. So, but it depends on the particular location, and we may check that for you if such records exist. Yeah. So just let us know. Okay. Another question. That's also an interesting part of Polish history and ancestry research. My great-grandfather was a Polish Jewish soldier, but I can't know where he was killed. In the Warsaw archives, they did not find him. The soldiers were not registered in the National Archives. So, as for Polish soldiers, there is a one central database in Poland called Central Military Archive of Poland. And this is a website that I will send you as well. And this is where the records on Polish soldiers, regardless the religion, are being stored. Yeah, I would need to know also a little bit of the background of that story. If that was a First World War or the Second World War, and there are different databases, different sources that you could use on that story to find out the circumstances on when he was killed, what was his military service, and so on and so forth. There are also online databases regarding both First and Second World War and the victims of Second and First World War, the index entries, and these are the databases that I'll also share with you, and they may include the information of the faith of the soldiers, but also the civil victims of both Second and First World War. Okay. I will see if we have something more. Okay, we have some individual information from Gary, for example, but I would really ask you to send the individual questions on info at yourrootsinpoland.com, so we can verify the individual case. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that it's 7:30, so I don't have any more time for the next questions, and I'm really would like to help you and assist you. So please do send all the questions that you have still on the email that I sent out here. Again, here are our contact information, and we have this Christmas and holidays vouchers if you would like to use as a present, if you don't have an idea for a present until now for the holidays. And so here the information, the contact information again with all the individual questions. I will answer them all, and I will help you locate the particular records as for the particular cases. So please do not hesitate to write me on info@yourrootsinpoland.com. And we will check where the records are stored. Thank you very much for the time with me. Here, thank you, Stan, very much. I am happy that you were with me for the last over 1.5 hours, and we'll do more webinars. So if you have an idea, you would like to work on a particular subject, because that was just a short range of knowledge and of useful information as for looking for your Polish ancestry. Please do, you can put the information on what you would like to know through the emails or Polish Genealogy Helper group, and we'll definitely consider that and do more webinars. So thank you again. Have a lovely day or evening, rest of your day or night. Dobranoc for everyone who is celebrating Christmas. Merry Christmas. Wszystkiego najlepszego z okazji Świąt Bożego Narodzenia. And a happy New Year. Happy holidays. Hope you will all stay safe and healthy and happy and will enjoy this time. Thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo. Dobranoc, proszę Państwa. Dziękuję bardzo.